Oh, because I'm not presenter. Hold on. And I want to show my screen, and I'm going to show this screen right here. First, I'll close out this poll. We don't need that anymore. Okay. And just so you guys are aware, we'll share the results of the webinar. You can see 18% of you, this is your first webinar with us, so welcome. 24% said this is your second one, and 58% said that you come to as many as possible. So welcome back, all of you, and we're excited to have you. So we're going to talk today about Iq Temp. These are two new devices that were just launched out earlier this month. Hopefully you saw our press release about them, and obviously you saw some information when we sent you out the registration form for it. Before we talk about those devices, I want to make sure that we know, especially for those brand new people, who we are. Qolsys, short for Quality of Life Systems, is dedicated to improving the quality of life through innovation and technology. And one of the main ways we do that is with the IQ panel. The IQ panel is a 7-inch Android touchscreen built with an Android operating system that is mainly for security and smart home control. We call it an all-in-one security and smart home platform because all the radios, all the batteries, the antennas, everything is all built into it. You literally, the only thing you need to run is power to that device. So you don't have to worry about, snapping things in and out, doing all sorts of configurations, a simple power wire through the back of it, either through the wall or mounting it on a table stand makes it so you can install it. And we found in many cases that the performance of this is as good, if not better, than even the consumer smartphones out there. For those of you that have installed an IQ panel, I would encourage you to compare the signal on your Verizon phone with the signal you're getting on the IQ panel. Go into settings, look at about, and you can see how many bars you're getting on the panel. Anytime you've got less than 6 bars on your Verizon phone, we've noticed that the IQ panel seems to have more. We think it's probably because, and I don't know for sure because I'm not an engineer, but probably because the antenna is so much larger than it is in your phone. So having a larger antenna obviously makes it so it can get better signal. But all those antennas, you don't need any external antennas. They're all buried inside the bezel. It's buried inside, shielded the proper way. We actually have 6 different wireless antennas built inside the IQ panel, and it's a really beautiful piece of work. If you were to take one apart and look at it and compare it with some of the other technology manufacturers in our industry, you're really going to get an appreciation for how beautiful and intelligently this is put together. And part of that is due to a company called Foxconn. Foxconn is probably the largest company you've never heard of. They're a great partner with us. They're the same company that build Apple products, that build Cisco routers, that build Xboxes and PlayStations, and all the major consumer electronics are built by Foxconn. And companies like Apple and Cisco and Microsoft trust their technology to them. And because of a great relationship that our CEO, Dave Pulling, has with the executives over there, they agreed to build our panel as well. So we get to use some of the same technology that some of the biggest companies in the world use to build our platform as well. And it's been tremendously successful in turning out a very high quality device. And like we mentioned, the IQ panel becomes the brain of your smart home. As the brain of your smart home, it can not only connect to all the devices you have inside your home, like the ones we're going to talk about today, but it also connects to the Alarm.com service. Alarm.com is another great partner we've got. They have been able to do a really thick integration with us, really extensive integration. We are not just enabled with the mobile app, but all of the features on the IQ panel, the features both on the back end and on the front end, are accessible online. So as a dealer, as someone who's looking to support the IQ panel, you can literally retire the truck and roll out the IQ panel in either a DIY fashion or professional installation fashion, and then continue to support it without needing to drive to your customer's home. If a customer says, I need you to change the settings, change the brightness, add a user, add a sensor, restart the panel, troubleshoot the Z-Wave network. There's so many features that you can do, so many settings you can adjust and toggle remotely using the AirFX platform, and both Qolsys and Alarm.com have worked very hard over the past 3 years to integrate all of those settings in together. It's also a local interface inside the home. A lot of people ask, well, can't you just use your phone? Do you really need a panel? Things seem to be going more and more towards apps. And while I certainly agree that, a majority of my own personal usage is with the app, I cannot negate the importance of having an actual interface inside the home. If I'm going to go on vacation or take a business trip, I'm not going to give my neighbor my smartphone so that he can control my home or feed the cat or whatever. I'm certainly not going to, go on a date with my wife and leave my phone at home so that my kids could arm and disarm the system. There has to be a local interface there inside the home. And you can't always depend on the people that are there to have the app, to have access to the app. If you're going to let guests come and watch your home or stay at your home or things like that, you're not going to, give them your login and password. You could certainly create a user form and things like that, but there has to be that local interface. And if you're going to have a local interface, it's got to be beautiful. It's got to be big. It's got to be what consumers expect. You all know what that's like when you go into a customer's home and you install that brand new security panel on the wall, and let's say it's one of those rubber button keypads that we've been installing for years. You know that when the customer looks at that for the first time that there's a certain level of disappointment. Is that really it? That's what you're putting in here? And part of them thinks maybe it's because I decided not to spend more money, and that's okay. I'm making that decision for a financial reason or things like that. But also, for those of you that put an IQ panel in the home, the amount of enthusiasm and excitement that happens when you say, this is your new home portal, this is the IQ panel, and they look at that and they think, oh, that's cool looking. I'm familiar with that. I see the little bubbles popping up on the screen, and that looks familiar to me. It feels appified. It's consistent with the app on my phone. It just makes for a beautiful experience. And a lot of people ask us, what is the difference between the IQ panel and all the other panels out there? And there's a lot of differences. And we've tried to narrow it down to a few major ones that we'll kind of go through right now. And the first one is a 7-inch touchscreen. We are the largest all-in-one touchscreen. And when we say all-in-one, that means everything's packed into it, like I mentioned a moment ago. Everything's packed into it. You don't have to do anything except run power to it. With that, you also get an integrated panel camera. No one else has one of those. And you can see who disarms the panel. When they walk up to the panel and say, type in their code, it shows a picture of them. It shows the code they used, the date and time they used it. So you now can regulate and know when people are coming and going in your home. Dual path communication, simultaneous Wi-Fi and cellular connectivity. The ability to actually not only connect to Wi-Fi, but also at the same time connect to cellular, and the panel intelligently routes data the fastest possible way based on the situation you're in. You're going to notice the speed of your signals going back and forth from alarm.com or from your monitoring station. You're going to notice those speed up. The signals sent back and forth from your alarm.com app as you're sitting there, on the couch telling it to arm or telling a light to turn on or telling a door to lock. The speed is improved everywhere because of that Wi-Fi connection, because of the dual path communication that occurs there. And it's not a failover situation either. It's not like, the traditional one where you have a landline as your primary, and then if that doesn't work, then it fails over after 30 seconds to the cellular. This is literally in real time looking at both pathways and sending those signals the fastest and best way possible. So it's a phenomenal feature. Automatic updates. We've got firmware updates, new features that come over the air on a regular basis. We work on software updates on a regular basis to make sure that the panel always feels fresh and new. Your panels feel a little bit more engaging. If there's a new feature that's coming out, then obviously the customer is going to want to play around with it. I just got the new version of the iOS software on my iPhone this past weekend, and immediately I started playing around with my phone again. I'm looking in settings and seeing what's different. I'm playing around with the different, the ways to toggle back and forth between apps and things like that. And it immediately makes me want to use it more. I want to know what's different, and I want to see if the things that are different are things that I would use and would want to, incorporate into my routine. The same thing happens here. When a customer gets a software update, whether you choose to send them an email, let them know about it, or you call them, or what have you, you've got an opportunity to encourage more usage with the panel. And the more they use it, the longer they stay. We all know that, right? Reducing truck rolls. The fact that it is all remote programmed allows you to reduce the cost associated with those truck rolls. And if you're not familiar with the cost of a truck roll, ask someone that is in your organization. They can be very costly, especially for those things that are simple and can be done online. Now, obviously, if a customer wants you to come and install another device in their home, you can choose whether you want to let them install it or whether they need, whether you can send it out to them and pair it remotely. But a lot of those common things like, hey, my screen brightness is too much, or it's too loud, or hey, my Z-Wave network's not working. Can you restart that or figure that out? Those kind of things can be done without having to roll a truck. It can be done right from your support center, right over the phone, right from the internet on Alarm.com's AirFX portal. So it's a great way of reducing cost and improving the lifetime value of the customer. And with that, it automatically becomes a DIY-ready panel. For those of you that are courageous enough to offer both DIY and professional installation, where you say, hey, Mr. Customer, you can choose whether you want me to mail you this panel and then you install it yourself, and I'll walk you through it, either through the videos that are online or what have you. Or you can choose for the upgraded cost of a professional installation, or even both. I've got a dealer I talked to just the other day who said his business model is, I offer DIY. After a DIY install, if they have a problem at all, then I upgrade them to the professional installation. I send a technician out, and that way it not only covers the cost of that, but it looks like I'm doing something helpful for the customer. And he's gotten great feedback on doing it that way. So I'm not saying it works for everybody's business model, but the panel's ready to do that if you choose to do that. We don't want the technology to limit the way that you do business with your customers. And then help videos. That's another great one. If you look at the little help icon down at the bottom of the screen of the IQ panel, you touch that. There are 15 videos preloaded onto the panel that teach you basic things like how to connect to Wi-Fi, how to create a user, how to arm and disarm the panel, things like that. What we did is we took the most common issues or questions that customers have in the first 90 days of having a system, and we made videos for them. So now when your installer installs it, or when you send it to the customer in a DIY type fashion, you can tell them, hey, if you've got any questions, just click the help button at the bottom and either read one of the FAQs or watch one of the videos, and it should address all your questions. And now you're not getting the extra costs of the calls even coming in. So again, ways to reduce costs, but also to increase customer satisfaction. If it's in the middle of the night and they've got a question, they don't necessarily want to call in and wait on hold for it. Maybe you're not even open at that time. It's a way for them to self-help it. And it's, in a YouTube generation, watching a 3-minute video is a whole lot easier than having to call in and answer your question and have them walk you through something. So a great way to support your customers. And custom text-to-speech is the last one on this list. The ability to actually create a custom name for something, Sarah's bedroom window, or John's front door, things like that. Being able to create the custom name that will not only be spoken by the panel, and you can hear it audibly, shown on the screen, but also texted to you. Now all the text messages you get, John's bedroom window is left open, you can see that name, and it's all easy. You type it in once into the panel, and it goes everywhere. Or if you type it into AirFX, again, it pushes to the panel, pushes to your mobile device, and it makes it easy to identify everything and really, really customize the system. Now I've got a couple questions here before we move on to the next slide. Is there a way to view the arm and disarm images remotely? Great question. We are actually working with Alarm.com to push those to the cloud. Currently, they're only available on the panel itself, but the goal is that they would also be available, same as an image sensor image, to be pushed to your mobile device, so that when that panel is disarmed, you would see that picture pop up on your phone. So not currently, but it is something we're working with Alarm.com to do. We again support it right now on our side. We just need to push those up to the cloud. Great question. Let me make sure there's any other questions, Whitney, that we need to address. Okay, great. We're going to move on. So we offer a full line of smart sensors and devices, and if you look over on the left side here, we've got 3 Wi-Fi devices. That's our IQ2, the secondary tablet. We've got 59 security zones. Those are the ones that connect to the panel over the security RF radio in there. That's a 319.5 radio. That could be anything like a door window sensor, a smoke detector, the doorbell sensor, a glass break detector, motion sensor, etc. So all those use that security RF frequency. There's also up to 69 Z-Wave devices, and that's the US Z-Wave frequency. That's things like the smart socket, the thermostat, the light bulb, the Siren that we'll talk about today, things like that. And then there's also natively the IQ panel can support up to 5 image sensors. If you're not familiar with that device, it is made by Alarm.com, and it is a camera with, sorry, a motion sensor with a built-in still camera. It's a great little device to put anywhere you would normally put a motion, and now you add the ability to peek in both either now or the next time it detects motion. And of course, anytime the alarm goes off, it will also capture images and send those directly to your mobile device. If you're not familiar with that device, check out our website. You can take a look at that. We've also got a video of it on our YouTube page. And of course, youralarm.com representatives will be happy to talk to you about it as well. So great little device. So we support all those different devices. So it makes a very robust ecosystem of devices for the home. And of course, the more devices you put in the home, the more exciting the home is going to be for your customer. The more they're going to use the system, the more they're going to show that off. I think we've gone away from the era of 2 doors and a motion. And if that's all you're offering, you need to really show the customer what you can do. You know, let them pick and choose the system they want. Let them pick and choose the items they want to add to their system. And you'll see a lot of customers really saying, well, what else can I do with this? I'll share one story about a customer in Louisiana. The dealer went to their home, and they had originally planned on getting a competitor's panel. They'd purchased 2 motion sensors and 4 door window sensors. And he had just gone through a training at a distributor about the IQ panel. And when he got to their home, he said, I'm going to offer you today, but would you like this instead? It's going to cost you $100 more for the panel. He was charging the customer the difference. He said, I'm going to charge you $100 extra for the panel, and let me show you all the things that connect with it. The customer not only paid the extra $100, but bought 10 lamp modules, a thermostat, and gave him a down payment for a lock. And it was because he led with the idea of, offering devices and, having a home control focused type scenario instead of a security focused scenario. Security is still awesome, and we're going to talk about that a lot today. In fact, let's get right into it. We're talking today about the Iq Temp and the Iq Siren. Okay, those are the 2 new devices we're talking about. And when we talk about security, at its core, I think sometimes when we talk about all these great, cool things we can do, turning on lights, locking doors, and opening garage doors, and all these great notifications we can get, and geofences, it's easy to be distracted by all this exciting Internet of Home lifestyle features, and sometimes forget that at its core, the IQ panel is a security system. It's got a built-in 95 decibel siren. You can arm it in either stay or away mode and quickly choose whether you want to have an entry delay or exit delay, or your exit sounds on and off. Obviously the IQ panel's connection to their monitoring station through alarm.com, powered by alarm.com, allows you to signal the need for a police or fire or a medical official. And of course, you've got a built-in microphone and speakers, so that if you've got 2-way voice service, they can talk to the monitoring station right through the panel. Some customers don't want just a 95 decibel siren, they want more. So we actually give them the ability to hardwire in an additional siren. It's got a built-in siren output. If you open up the back of the panel, you'll see that little section over there called buzzer. Buzzer plus, buzzer minus, positive and negative. And if you look at the wiring diagram on the installation manual, I believe it's on page 8, you can actually see you can hardwire in a siren, a 6 to 12 volt DC siren, up to 120 milliamp siren. It's not a huge siren, but that's enough to give you an extra spot, especially if you're coming in with a home that already had a hardwired siren. You plug that right into the back of the panel, and now you've got 2 sirens going off. So when the alarm goes off, it's extra loud, nice and loud all throughout the house. And that external siren will mimic the panel's internal siren, whether it's a police pattern, a fire pattern, or a medical pattern. And if you're not familiar with those patterns, it's different for each one. I would encourage you to go to the IQ panel and try it through the panic button and listen to those different patterns there. From a technical standpoint, because I know there's some technicians on our call today, I want to make sure that you understand that when we say it's 6 to 12 volts DC, that fluctuates based on how much is being pushed to make the siren pattern what it is. So obviously, if it was on the full time, it's just going to be the full 12 volts. If it's less than that, it's because it's trying to make kind of a warbling sound, which kind of draws attention to it and things like that. So that's a little fun thing for you technicians. Maybe it's not even technical enough for you. So I know you guys are super smart. Well, sometimes, and wiring a siren in is great, but we've got another new version of the siren that we think is going to be even more exciting. This is a wireless siren connecting over Z-Wave. So instead of having to wire something into the back of the panel, you plug this into any standard wall outlet. It's using Z-Wave, It's 105 decibels, super loud. It's already got internally a 3-hour backup battery. It's got 3 LED lights that strobe when the alarm goes off. And because it's plugged into the power of your home, it acts as a Z-Wave repeater. So fantastic little device. Really easy to install. Again, you just plug it into the wall right there, into any standard outlet. Go to your IQ panel, go to settings, type in your installer code. You'll go to installation, and then from installation, you'll want to click on home control devices, and you're going to want to add a new device. When you go to add new device, there's a pair button, and when you put the panel in pairing mode, you would walk over to the bottom of this unit, wherever it is, and press the button on the bottom. When you press the button on the bottom, it then finds it. It will then pop up that it's a Siren. It knows that it's a Siren, and you could give it a custom name if you wanted to, and click pair, and it pairs it up. With the IQ panel, like we mentioned earlier, can do up to 69 Z-Wave zones, and up to 10 of those could be other devices like this Siren. Maybe you want to do a repeater, or you want to do a water valve, or anything like that. We allocate 10 of those Z-Wave slots for other devices, and this falls in the other devices. And because it acts as a Z-Wave repeater, now your whole home network is going to be faster and more impressive. It's going to be more responsive, and it's just a simple and easy thing. Before we talk more about that, I want to put this screen up on there. We do have a video about it on our YouTube page. You can go and check out Jenny's video about the IQ Siren. Questions about the IQ Siren? Let's see what it is. Indoor only. Yes, it is, Mark. It is an indoor only Siren. It is not rated for outdoor. Could you put it outside? I guess you probably could, but again, it's rated only for indoors. Do you have to install a receiver to the panel for the Siren? Danny, I'm not sure what that means. You don't have to install any kind of anything. Literally, you just plug this in and then put the IQ panel in pairing mode, and it's going to connect over Z-Wave. So there's nothing that you really need to do differently other than just pairing the two together wirelessly. So it's very easy. Can you program it to make the Siren sound without turning on the LEDs? Great question, Santiago. No, I don't believe so. I think the LEDs flash as a visual reminder that the Siren is going off. I don't think that there's any way, at least currently, that we would turn that off. Now, if that is something that people want, we could maybe look at doing that through software in the future and do that through a future software update. But currently, when the Siren goes off, it flashes those LEDs. Also, as a side note, those LED lights help in the pairing process. When you actually are pairing the device up and you press that pair button on the bottom of it, one of those LED lights will light up, and so you'll know that you did press the button and that it is in kind of searching mode. Can you secure it so it can't be removed accidentally or on purpose? No, currently not. There's not a way to secure that device. It's just plugged in. Obviously, there's still a Siren on the panel. It's still going to be sending a signal to the alarm station, to the monitoring station. So if someone comes along and unplugs it maliciously, the panel's still going to be going off. If they smash that panel, we've got full crash and smash technology built into the panel, so the police are still going to come. So it's, I think you're still protected. Will this work with other Z-Wave capable panels or just the IQ panel? Great question. It is a Z-Wave device, and Z-Wave is a universal protocol. You could pair this with other Z-Wave capable panels if you were okay with inferior technology, of course, and you wanted to put it with, one of those weird panels that no one likes anymore. I'm just kidding. Those other panels are great, and other people have other technology in their home. If they've already got a system in their home and they wanted to use this, you absolutely could use this with a Z-Wave capable panel here in the U.S. Again, it's operating off of the U.S. Z-Wave frequency, so overseas that wouldn't be the case, but here inside the U.S., the 908.11 or whatever the Z-Wave protocol is here, it should work. What is the range? Great question. That's really a Z-Wave question, and the range of a Z-Wave device is based off of how many other Z-Wave devices you have in your home. Generally speaking, it's about 15 feet, but if I wanted to put the IQ Siren on the opposite side of the house, I would need to have a few other devices between it and the IQ panel to make sure that it would connect to it properly. Maybe there's a lamp module you want to put in there, like the IQ Smart Socket, or maybe one of the IQ light bulbs, which also act as a repeater. Any of those devices that act as repeaters, installing those between the panel and your farthest device will ensure that that network not only functions well, but gets the best battery life as well. Here's a great example. My lock on my front door, the batteries were going out rapidly all the time. I was literally replacing batteries every 3 months, and when I talked to the people about it, they said that one of the main reasons for that was because my Z-Wave network, it was straining to get the signal. So I put a couple other devices between the panel and that lock, and I haven't had to change batteries for at least 6 months. So it's improving the network. The more devices you can put in there as repeaters, the stronger that network becomes, the more responsive that network becomes. It's different than Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi, obviously, the more devices you're connecting to it, it seems to bog it down and slow it down, right? Z-Wave is the exact opposite. The more devices you connect, the stronger and faster that network becomes. So it's really, really amazing technology. Let me see. What other questions? I've got a lot of questions in here. It's great questions, guys. Is the strobe latching? Will it stay on after the Siren timeout? That's a great question, Austin. I actually do not know. I do not know. In fact, Whitney, will you go ask Kevin if they know the answer to that? I don't think it does. I think once the Siren turns off, that the LEDs will also deilluminate or turn off. But we'll confirm that for you. Does the Siren automatically function and notify just like the onboard Siren? It will automatically, so when you say automatically function and notify, I'd like some clarification on that. I'm not sure what you mean by that. The Siren, when the panel Siren goes off, this one will go off as well. It's about a half a second afterwards, just because it takes a second for the Z-Wave signal to get there. At least that's been my experience. But then it will go off, and then as soon as you disarm the panel, or turn the Siren off on the panel, then it will do it. No, then it will turn it off as well. One thing I will show you as well, guys, is that pairing button located on the bottom of the unit we were talking about to pair it. If you wanted to turn the Siren off manually, as you just turn off the Siren as it's going off, you could go over and press the bottom of that button on the bottom of the unit, and that would silence the Siren for you. So if you were, trying to demonstrate it to someone, it was too loud, you could go over and press that button and it would silence the Siren. Obviously, again, that doesn't stop signals from being sent back and forth, so it's still, from a security standpoint, still being secure, but that helps to silence it. Are there different sounds for fire versus security? Currently, this IQ Siren only has one sound, but we are working on being able to support additional sounds that would match the IQ panel's sounds, the police, fire, and medical. But currently it is only one Siren sound for the IQ Siren. Great question. Are there any plans for an external Siren and strobe? Good question. We're looking at a few things here and there. I'm willing to bet that your distributor probably has something on their shelves right now that would work. You could look at things that would wire directly into the back of the panel. Like we mentioned, the 120 milliamp buzzer out that you could do. You could do something like that right now today. We are looking at a few things here and there. We haven't found anything tremendously compelling from an exterior standpoint. If you happen to know of anything, I would love it if you'd send it over to us and we'll take a look at it. But there hasn't been anything compelling enough and sleek enough and easy to install enough that it's made us want to put it as part of our product lineup ourselves. DSC makes a strobe light. Can you use it with the IQ panel? I don't think so. The IQ panel uses a 319.5 radio, and I believe the DSC strobe is, if it's a wireless one, would pair using 433 protocol, so you need either a translator to do that, or you need to get the IQ panel that's branded with the DSC, which is called the DSC Touch. So you could possibly do that with the DSC Touch panel. I'm not familiar with that particular product, so it's probably better to maybe talk to your DSC or Tyco rep in your area to get more information. But great question, Donna Marie. Let's see. If you wanted to use this with another Z-Wave enabled panel, it would be unlikely the panel would know how to communicate that this is a Siren or what the Siren's data is, things like that. Yeah, that's very possible, Spencer. That this would be the other panels might not have the intelligence to interpret what kind of Z-Wave signal this is. In my experience, on the IQ panel, if I learn in a device that the IQ panel's previously never known before, a device that our team has not worked to make sure it integrates properly, then it sometimes will show up as a light. instead of what it actually might be. This happened the other day with a garage door controller. Someone introduced a Z-Wave garage door controller to us, and without having it being able to integrate with the IQ panel, it shows up as a light. Now, could you still use it that way? Yeah, I guess you probably could. I mean, Z-Wave is a universal protocol. Anytime you have a device that pairs over Z-Wave, you could probably pair it with the IQ panel. That does not necessarily mean that it will function the way it's supposed to, or that we'll have the user interface on the panel to allow you to do the things that that device does, but it should pair because it is a universal protocol. So be cognizant of that. You can always refer to our website. If you go to the home control section on our website, we've got a big long list of supported Z-Wave devices. For those of you that have access to our dealer portal, you can also see the supported Z-Wave devices on there as well. We continue to support more and more and more devices with every software update we do. And that's, again, part of our dedication to continually improving the software and continually working to integrate with all the great and amazing devices that are out there. So great comment, Spencer. Thank you. How many Sirens can be enrolled? Again, you could do up to 10 Sirens. They fall into the other category, the other devices category. Since there's no on or off, capability, they just simply pair in with the panel and pair in as a Siren. But you can do up to 10 of those. Is it supervised? Does it let the panel know if there's a low battery or no AC power? I don't know. Will you go ask Kevin and Jeremy that? That's a great question. I would think that it would, because like other Z-Wave devices, all our Z-Wave devices have the ability to, report their battery level, their power level, things like that. But I've not personally known that on this particular one. And whether or not that would show up in your status app, or you could get a text message for it if it's low, I don't know. We'll find that out for you. Anthony wants to know if the motion sensors and door sensors are Z-Wave devices. No, they're security RF devices. In our personal experience, Z-Wave door sensors and motion sensors are not as responsive and reliable as a security RF, and they also don't have the distance of security RF. So all of our security-based devices are using the security RF radio, not the Z-Wave radio. So great question. Let's see. The battery backup was 3 hours. Someone asked for a clarification reminder on the battery backup. It's a 3-hour backup battery, and of course, because it's plugged into power, when the power comes back on, it'll automatically recharge that battery. Let's see. Looking through here to see if there's any more. I appreciate that, Donna Marie. I know you're a Qolsys girl too. You guys are awesome. Thanks for all the great questions. If there's nothing else on the Siren, you can certainly pop those into Whitney. Then let's move on to the IQ Temp. So the IQ Temp is just a high-low temperature sensor. And you'd say just a high-low temperature sensor, but I think sometimes devices like this or the flood sensor or things like that sometimes get kind of pushed to the exterior things. And I think this is a really great little device, and I want to show you. First off, look right here on the screen. Know when your HVAC fails. Look at how tiny that little device is. Just stuck down on the baseboard, you almost never even notice it, and to be able to know when your HVAC fails, it would be awesome. I'll tell you a little story. When my wife and I first got married, we bought a condo, and it was a great little place. Really loved it. In fact, we loved it so much that we didn't want to move out of it, but by the time we had our third kid, we found it very challenging to live 3 kids plus us in a 2-bedroom condo. And so we found ourselves having to go out and find a house. Well, the market had dropped out at that point, and it wasn't worth it to us to lose the condo, so we decided to rent it out. And we've been renting it out for a few years now. And we're just, barely breaking even on it, so it's not like it's been a big profit for us, but it's been nice to have that little condo, know that that's there, and when we retire, maybe we'll move back into it by then. Who knows? Well, the AC unit in there is run using hot water. And one day, apparently, it failed, and it got super duper hot in the house, and my tenants hadn't been home. They were actually out on vacation. They were gone for a week. And they were gone. And when that thing failed, not only did everything freeze up and it got super hot in there, but then after a while it continued to keep trying to pump through, and the pipes burst and all the water. So not only did I have a failed air conditioner, but then that doubled with a flood. we ended up having a very expensive repair. The whole AC unit had to be replaced. There was thousands of dollars in flood damage that needed to be repaired. You know, all the floors needed to be redone on 2 different levels. There was a bunch of drywall that needed to be fixed, things like that. We didn't find out about it for probably 48 hours. So it was pretty bad. This little device would have saved it. Just having one of these in there to let me know by text message that the temperature had risen above 100 degrees, you know, and that unit was failing, that it was hot enough in the house, and that the AC unit wasn't there. I would have gone over and checked on it, seen that the things were freezing, and been able to do something before everything burst. Okay, so I personally think that this is an awesome device and that everyone would want one in their house. Okay, just to give you some specs on it, it does it sets off the alert when it's 40 degrees, when it's below 40 degrees or above 100 degrees. IQ Mini platform. So for those of you that have been on our webinars about the IQ Mini and the IQ Mini Extended, it's a really small, really great radios on there. The circuit board on it is really improved over prior sensors in the industry. It's got a raised magnet, so you can put it on metal or wood or drywall or anything. Excuse me, not a raised magnet, a raised antenna. So it's not only gets great range, but it also gets great performance. You could place it in any room. It's a real simple adhesive, mounts to any surface, and you can learn in the high and the low as 2 separate zones. So if you only wanted to do the low, you could do that, or if you only wanted to do the high, or if you wanted to do them both, then you can have them both. So it's a great little device. Again, connects over security RF, the 319.5. People say, well, what are you going to use it for? Well, obviously, you're going to know if your HVAC system needs service before something really bad happens like what I had in my condo. Okay, whether it's freezing temperatures or high heat temperatures, having those in multiple rooms throughout the house can let you know about it. This is great if you've got elderly people at home. If you're out at work and you've got grandma living at home, the last thing you want is for her to be stuck in a house in 100-degree weather and not have a way to contact you or things like that. Maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. Pets in the home, infirm or hospice care. Having people there, it's not just the damage, but it's the lives that are potentially there and affected by these devices as well. So great little device that'll help warn you in the event of that HVAC failure, and then you can get to fixing on it before bigger problems come along. Before we move on, are there any questions on the IQ Temp? Okay, a couple of them. Does the temperature sensor have a remote sensor? No, it does not, specifically because we designed it to be its own remote sensor. So you would pair in multiple units, and put one in the living room, put one in the basement, put one in the dining room, things like that. Can you set the high-low temperature is another great question. Great question, Rusty. No, you cannot. It is set at 40 degrees and 100 degrees. And can the device monitor both high and low in the same device? Yes, Daniel. You can pair it you could pair it only as heat. You could pair it only as cool, or you could pair it to be both heat and cool, and it will detect both. So the temperature is already set for the low limit at 40. So as soon as it drops below 40, that's when it set the alarm off. So it sets the alert off. Or if it goes above, then it will do that. Another question: could you put it in a barn? Great question. You could. Obviously, these devices, almost all our devices, are rated for indoor use only. If you want to put it inside a barn and the range was good enough to get there, I don't know how far away the barn is, but yeah, you could. And that would be a great way to know if your animals in the barn were potentially in danger because it was too hot in there. Maybe you need to open up some windows and let the horses out and let them run around. So, great question. Other questions on the IQ Temp? All right. So hopefully that answers all of them. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed the webinar today. Obviously, our sales and installation tutorials online will help answer and address a lot of the questions you've got, whether you want to learn more about the IQ2, the Hardwire 16, our mini sensor, the doorbell, all these devices, our light bulb, they're all on the website, youtube.com/Qolsys. That's our YouTube page, and we'll show you simple ideas of how to install them. We'll show you how to use them, things like that. Also, want to draw your attention to the emulator. I've mentioned this before. So if you want to, either in a support scenario where you wanted to walk a customer through what to do, or in a sales scenario, wanted to show a demo of the IQ panel, you can go to qolsys.com/emulator, and that is a web-based emulator that will allow you to go exactly through the panel as though it was a real panel. We are working right now on getting that turned into an app. For those of you that have been asking for a while, we're working right now on that, and that will be available first on iOS and Android, and will allow you to actually download it. We're hoping to be able to get it into the App Store, although that's subject to Apple approval. But be able to allow you to download that onto your device and have it natively on your iPad or your Android device or your iPhone, and be able to use that without having to be connected to the internet. The other thing that we want to point out is our dealer portal. We've continually making improvements to the dealer portal, adding content, adding documents, adding training videos, things like that. So we really hope you spend some time there. If you don't have access, you can send Whitney an email at portalaccess@qolsys.com, and she'll get you access right away. We want to make sure that you've got access to all the documentation, marketing materials. We've got pre-built marketing in there as well. So really take advantage of all those tools that are in there. Any other questions before we move on? Okay. So the last one, the last thing I want to mention is that everyone today, as a thank you for coming to our webinar and attending our webinar today, is going to get an IQ Flood. This is a new amazing device. If you were on our webinar last time, we talked about the IQ Flood. It is basically a sensor with a 6-foot dongle on it that allows you to detect water. You could put it near a water heater. You could put it near your sink. Maybe you want to put it near a washing machine or your fridge or freezer. Just the thought of being able to stop a leak before it becomes a lake is a great reason to have this device. Just as a scenario, in a 1,000-square-foot home with 4 inches of water, your estimated repair cost with a flood is over $15,000. And you can go to floodsmart.gov to see an example of how that goes. It's actually a really cool little tool. It's a great one to use with your customer too. So when you get this device, I encourage you to put it in your own home so you can see it yourself and have it yourself, protect your own home, but then that, again, allows you to have personal experience with it that you can then pass along to your customers and say, hey, I've got one under my sink. I put one under every, sink in my house. I've got one in my, by my water heater. Let them know where you got it and show them where you got it, because that's going to be something they're going to want too. Show them how much, a flood damage would cost, by going to floodsmart.gov and showing them that little tool and saying, look, you've got a, 2,000-square-foot home here. If you add, 6 inches of water, this is how much you're going to look at a repair damage. So it can become very real very quickly, and it's one of those devices that I personally don't see why you wouldn't want to present it in every single possible install, whether you do it through your sales team or through your installation team, or over the phone with your customer, however it is you're talking with them. I think you should talk to everyone about it. So just being able to get that detection saying, hey, I've got a millimeter, a centimeter, whatever, of water coming into my house. I'm going to go stop that water, turn it off, stop that leak before it becomes a lake right away. So again, that's our gift to you today. We're really grateful that you guys have all joined. And what we'll do is we will send that device out to you using the address you used to register today. So be watching for that in the mail. And hopefully you got your other devices if you've attended other webinars for you. The whole reason we do this is so you can have experiences with these devices and be able to give your own personal experiences. You guys have heard me plenty of times talk about my own personal system, what I do with it, how I use it, how my family uses it. There's no more powerful way to sell a security product or a home control product than by having it yourself and being able to tell personal experiences, being able to pull out your app and show them your own home and talk about the scenario that you have and how you use it. So really encourage you to do that. We're trying to make it more and more possible for you guys to be able to have a nice, robust system in your own home. So guys, I'm going to stay on the line for just a minute to make sure that we've answered all your questions. The webinar is officially over. You're welcome to go ahead and drop right now. Thank you again for attending. If you have additional questions, type them into the question bar and we'll get those answered. And otherwise, we hope you have a fantastic day. Thanks again.